Happy Friday, everybody. It's great to be here today with all of you again, and shocking that we're at the end of another week. Today is kind of special for me because the guest that we have, Dennis Albiani, is a friend of mine since high school. And Dennis and I go back to our probably sophomore year in high school. I was at Woodland High, he was at Elk Grove High. You know, big rivals in FFA, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's great to be here with Dennis today, who is a big wig these days in California agriculture and in policy work. For those of you who are interested in agriculture policy, there's not too many more people in the state that are great to talk to than Dennis Albiani, and he's had all kinds of great experiences that he'll share too. So because we go back to high school, we're going to ask a question today about all of us, our senior years in high school, and whether or not we had a senior ditch day. Did you have one? Where was it, or what was it? And that's, you know, probably enough detail for that. But so anyway, I'll start out. My name is Mary Kimball. I'm the executive director of the Center for Land-Based Learning, and I'm in Woodland. And my senior ditch day, I went to Woodland High School, was very Woodland High School-ish. We went to the Sacramento River up above Knight's Landing, a place called Fourth Beach, very complicated Fourth Beach, which just really means that it was a beach along the river, and hung out and had picnics and just enjoyed time with friends. It was almost the end of the school year, and we had really no more time left from a class perspective, no more tests to take, all of that. But I remember the day very fondly, and I'm sorry for all of those folks who don't get to do those kinds of things this year, but I'm sure you'll find something to do. All right, Dana, you're up.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dana Baker, coming from Tehama County. I'm the Tehama County Farms Coordinator, and I'm in Red Bluff. And quite honestly, this is bad. I don't even remember if we had like a sanctioned ditch day. High school, I was super active in our FFA, but I was not overly involved in all those other activities. So I don't even know. I mean, I probably had plenty of ditch days. I don't know if there was a sanctioned one though. So,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
I don't have much to tell you about that one.
All right, Joseph.
Oh, I don't know how to unmute my mic. Good morning. My name is Joseph Montoya. I'm the Farms Leadership Coordinator for the Sacramento Valley. And I don't know if we had a ditch day. Something that was super duper amazing fun was our senior trip. Apologies to all the seniors out there that, don't get to go on one this year. But I went to Sac High. We went to Disneyland. We arrived at, I think it was 10 p.m. and then had the park to ourselves, us and like a whole bunch of other schools from 10 p.m. to 6 o'clock in the morning. It was wild.
I've heard about those. Those do sound fun. Very cool. All right, Katie, tell us.
Good morning. My name is Katie Wortman. I am the Central Valley Farms Coordinator, coming to you from Fresno. I went to a small high school, and absolutely we had a ditch day. It wasn't sanctioned with the school, but all the seniors got together. This is the day we're going, obviously senior ditch day. We went to Monterey. I'm from Gustine, so a little jaunt over the hill to Monterey. It was a great day. I don't remember much, but just a handful of friends at that time, and definitely went. I do remember that morning our senior pictures were due, so we had to take them. So I was on campus and then I left, so it was legit ditch day. So yeah, sorry to everyone that doesn't have those memories, but live them up. This will not last long.
That's right. We'll get through it. All right, Romy, I want to hear what you guys did in Bakersfield.
is Romy Wattenberger. I'm the Kern County Farms Coordinator here in Bakersfield. And to be honest, I don't really remember. And I think most of our teachers assigned tests on that day because they were sticklers. So a lot of us goody two-shoes, we would stay in school and do our tests because if not, they wouldn't let you remake it. But I think some of them did. I don't really remember where they went, but I definitely stayed and took the test, so I didn't have to miss it.
Oh, that's very good of you, Romy. 5 stars. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, Letty, what about you over there in Monterey County?
Yeah, I'm Letty Hernandez. I run the program in Monterey and Santa Cruz County. Our ditch day was definitely straight to the beach. Back then, I used to longboard with one of my best friends, and we just hopped on the bus and rode it straight to the coast and spent the day there, did a bonfire, and listened to music and hung out.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. It sounds good right now, since it's going to be 97 today in Woodland. All right, Dennis, you are up. I'll do a quick little additional intro. So back to high school for Dennis and I. We both were in FFA. We were both very involved in FFA and very involved in leadership. And so when we first got to know each other is because we were sectional officers together. Dennis was sectional president. You're going to hear a theme here. I don't even remember. I think I was probably secretary or sentinel or something. I don't remember what I was at the sectional level. Then we next up was regional, and we were again regional officers together, and Dennis again was regional president. I think I was sentinel when we hit regions, and we put on leadership conferences together. We trained did all kinds of great stuff together. But quite honestly, we weren't particularly friends, I would say, because we were very different people. And he was very, very competitive, and I was too. So it was not until really much later in our lives that because we were both in the California Agricultural Leadership Program, and we were in the same class again. So of all of the people in California agriculture, we ended up in the same class 32, many years ago now. They're at class 50. And so it's just kind of and that was actually the time when we really got to know each other. So Dennis, it's great to have you on. You are, like I said, a wonderful leader in California agriculture with California Agriculture Advocates. And I would just go ahead and give us a little description and some of your background that you wanted to share, and then a bit about what you do and how you got to this position today.
Well, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, known Mary for a long time, and she actually went to college with my brothers at UC Davis.
Right.
Brother and sister went to UC Davis. So even there, we could track. So
that's true.
I'll say parallel tracks for years, and she's been very committed to the California agricultural industry, doing it Mary's way, which is awesome. And I think that she was competitive, but always chill. I was competitive, and I was unapologetic about it. And I didn't have a problem with that necessarily, but I think I have changed quite a bit. I hope. Mary, she's always done it her way, and it's fantastic. And this Farms Leadership Program has a Mary stamp on it that'll be forever, and that's exciting to be somebody that you've seen for quite many years and worked and run really, like I said, parallel paths. I went to Cal Poly, Davis, things, and I remember running into you periodically as we were young adults in Sacramento or something, and just touching bases and then coming back together full circle. So it's exciting. And if I was talking to young people, whatever industry you go into and wherever you work, that there are people that will continue to cross paths with. There'll be people who talk to you and recommend you for a job, or somebody who you may be able to help you personally, or introduce you to a date or whatever. I mean, there's those kinds of opportunities, that will continue to come around in your life. Take advantage of them. Mm-hmm. People nice. also, so that they get those opportunities later in life. That's rare. So thank you, Mary, for inviting me today. This was Coffee with a Farmer, and but she sent it out to our group and her very good circle of professional contacts and friends. I did not respond because you will see that I am sitting in a, on the 12th floor of a building across the street from the state capitol. And so, and I am very aware, I'm very committed to the industry of agriculture, have been. Throughout my life, I've had many forks that I could break off, potentially, I don't know, but possibly make more money or do something in that area. And I always said, no, first of all, I was committed to the industry. I like the people. They also helped me go to college, give me opportunities like this Farms Leadership Program or FFA or whatever. And so it's my time to pay them back. And I've done that. And frankly, as a professional, they've even extended that even more. So it's been a great symbiotic relationship for me. And I hope I've been able to give back to the industry as well. And to help, of course I would do whatever Mary asked. I'm not a farmer. Now, I am a lobbyist. And so I represent probably half or probably more than half of the entities that I work with are somewhere in the food chain. Mm-hmm. We start with, I represent the Seed Association. So the most, basic genetic element of agriculture. I also represent the Grain and Feed Association. That's livestock feed. They're a supplier of the agricultural interests. And the Almond Alliance, which is a fully integrated from the grower to the processor to the marketer, includes proprietary interests as well as cooperatives like Blue Diamond, and then even ancillary business interests that serve the almond industry. So from that standpoint, got narrowly tailored interest or broader clients. I also represent a lot of water districts, and water is essential to the success of California. Also to our environmental resources as well. So balancing that continues to be a challenge for the state, and we participate in that. And then I represent a significant amount of food processing. So an egg farmer once told me, growing an egg, raising eggs and egg layers is easy. Selling them is the hard part. And getting it from, and we've noticed that with my own, we do have a small gentleman farm. Getting them to a certain age is one thing, but getting them to the consumer is the challenge. In a form that the consumer likes, wants, is packaged, is accustomed to, and then innovating new options. And so those are all areas where we participate from, I represented California Olive Ranch, which is an olive oil producer, that when they started in California in 22 years ago, 1998, wow. There were 900 acres of olives planted for olive oil in California. Today, there's 22,000 acres, and they have about 45% of that either they farm or under contract. So the point in that is that's coming in at the ground floor and taking an industry to the next level. And California in that time has gone from a recognized quality, a high quality producer, and done that. And frankly, that's an entity that maybe has led that. And then a cross section of folks from General Mills, Kellogg's, ConAgra, Cargill, huge ones, all the way down to family businesses. One of my clients, the smallest, is a fruit stand with the family runs it and 3 additional employees. And so wow. Of an entity called the Family Business Association that I work with. So that's what I do. A little bit about my background. I think Mary wanted me to discuss that. I went to high school. I was very involved in Future Farmers of America. I also was also involved in student council and other things. I was very involved in wrestling and enjoyed that sport, and still do, and still try to support that endeavor as well. So after that, went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which I was an ag business major. And in my 3rd year at Cal Poly, and I apologize for the folks that are going into college right now, and I do have some children doing that. I have a son going in because I was in college. I think Mary was as well. The last time there was severe budget cuts, and we're going to severe budget cuts. I hate to inform you that, but it was a point to where, you know, they actually consolidated colleges and cut classes and all that. So it was a challenge. But in my third year, I got a letter to all the, I guess, the people in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, and it said you could take a minor in water science. Well, I was already pretty far down the road, so I had to hustle, and I got a minor in water science and irrigation technology, which I only bring that up because I think that was my best education. It was engineering principles, it was the water cycle, it was things, you know, some soil elements to that, and it was a good experience and has helped me quite a bit. So sometimes, you know, you open up your news, you know, a letter or an email from somebody, and there's opportunities that come, and think about it, and if it works for you, jump in. And so we did that, and it was very different education than I had in ag business. Again, very engineer oriented. It was taught by all engineering professors. And so it was a very different part of the education for the last year and a half of my college. After that, I went to work immediately for a senator in the Central Valley, Modesto. And I think they hired me because of my water side. He was chair of the Ag and Water Committee. So that was good. Did that for 18 months, and then he was unelected first time. And this is part of my theme. You're going to find out that you lose your job, and that's okay. I was offered a job up in Sacramento to, you know, kind of be a district rep again, and I'd already put off going to law school, so I decided to go to law school at night, and I worked during the day. Did a host of jobs, even, you know, worked on a cattle operation at day. I sold real estate. I taught high school agriculture and high school leadership. I also taught when you, oh, this is bad. When people get their citizenship.
God.
Adult dad, and help people get their citizenship. By the way, they were the best students I ever had because they cared and they really wanted it.
Really care, yeah,
Citizenship
I'm
test
sure.
is pretty easy, but it's also very but they really wanted to make sure they were going to pass it, so they'd call me all night. It was good. So then from there, I'll get there. I started with the Agricultural Council as a lobbyist. Had that opportunity, and frankly, I was doing very well in my professional life. I was going to school at night, and I took a cut in pay to basically half of my salary to do this because it was an opportunity that came. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, I know you always want to do this. Would you like to do this now?" So again, sometimes you go backwards in one way to go forwards in the future. So I recommend, don't recommend taking the pay cut, but recommend sometimes, you know, you got to shift gears. Did that for several years. Got when I graduated from law school, I was recruited into the Senate, and I was the consultant to the Agriculture Water Committee. So there you were kind of the expert. You look at the policy, you look at the bills, and you're paid by the whole Senate. So the chairman was a Democrat, but I was just as close to the vice chairman, who was a Republican from Fresno, who was a great person as well, Senator Chuck Puchigian, and at that time I worked with Senator Jim Costa. And so you do that. So I took it very seriously that you're the expert in theory, and you have to analyze it and try not to be partisan, try not to be political. You just put the facts out there, and then you sign your name to it, and that'll be used years from now when people look at it. What did they mean with that bill? Why did they do it? So that was a great experience. From there, I went to the Davis administration. I was at the Department of Food and Agriculture, and I was the deputy secretary for legislation and policy. And the day I actually moved into the Department of Food and Agriculture, you know, it takes a long time to get an appointment. So I've been given the appointment, but once they announce it, then you give it 2 weeks. The day I went over there was the day that the recall qualified for Governor Gray Davis. So, you know, that was an interesting deal. We stayed out of that politics and just did the policy for the Department of Food and Agriculture. And then Davis was recalled. So again, I'm going to lose my job. And at this time I was married and, actually had a child. So it gets a little bit more serious then. So I was getting ready to go out, talking to lobbying firms, talking to law firms. And then I got a call from somebody in the new administration that was coming, Schwarzenegger administration. They said, a friend, who's actually a Republican friend, who said, hey, would you come to work for Schwarzenegger? And I said, sure. She said, we're not offering you anything. Would you interview? And so they asked me to come over and interview. Very straightforward. Said, we want somebody with your background. Again, agriculture, water quality. And then I did have some knowledge about energy and some other things. So I took over that portfolio, which was the Natural Resources Agency, energy, water, EPA, air quality, water quality, recycling, and then the Department of Food and Agriculture. So that was my portfolio. Worked for Schwarzenegger through his first term. When he got reelected, I said, it's time to go. In the meantime, so I'd already had one child. My wife, after the first year, had triplets. So we had triplets. So now I had 4 children. So it was time to go out and work for a living. So I decided to come and I started with a lobbying firm. They had a small water and agriculture practice, only a couple clients. And so then I came in and built that. And now I'm a partner in that firm. There's two lobbying partners. We have 5 lobbyists, and we do everything. From car dealers to judiciary clients to defense counsel. But I concentrate in natural resource, environmental, agriculture, energy, those types, telecoms, those types of areas is what I do. And I enjoy it very greatly. As Mary said, we were reunited in the California Agricultural Leadership Program. Now, I know exactly when we were because my 18-year-old son was born before our first seminar. So yeah. I had to convince my wife to actually go to Fresno's seminar, and then I did skip out the last day. I went home a little bit early, but so that son is now a senior in high school. So for those of you in high school, I feel very, again, apologetic for what you have to go through, not having those experiences, especially you seniors, but it'll get better. There's a lot of great opportunities out there for you in the future, both socially, which is important, as well as professionally. Just keep gliding along. And, you've always got a story to tell now.
That's true. Very much so. You can tell for
Well, that's it. I just went way longer than Mary wanted me.
You went for it, Dennis. That's perfect. And so not surprisingly, there's some questions, which I think we'll go ahead and get into because one of our alumni is very interested in ag policy. So she's got a lot of questions here for you, and I'm sure that these are all great questions. So let's go ahead and open up Kaylee's line, and she can introduce herself. And Kaylee, why don't you just start, at least with a couple of these questions, maybe not all 5.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I am from Visalia, California, and I am a student at the University of Arizona. And yes, I'm very interested in public policy. It is my minor, and my major is agricultural communications. So my first one is, how helpful was attending law school for your career as a lobbyist, and would you recommend it for someone aspiring to be an agricultural lobbyist?
Mm-hmm. Great question, Kaylee.
That's a good one. And we get it a lot. First of all, I'm glad that you are getting a degree. A lot of the people that I work with in the policy didn't go get a degree in political science or there, but I think it's smart to get it to specialize a little bit. So people out there, that's a smart thing. Learn something, become an expert in it, and that will service you no matter where your career takes you. Law school, there are many lobbyists who are not lawyers. It is not necessary per se. It's not a requirement to do that. I will tell you that they do. It does teach you to think a little differently. It teaches you to write better. And I think I'm going to be very frank, at least the university that I went to, and I think a lot of the high schools do not teach us to write very well. And going in there, I was really actually probably low on the totem pole, and then really improved my writing, which is necessary because that's what, lawyers, and that we write a lot of letters. Absolutely, being a lobbyist is a personal interaction as well, but it is also strategic, and you definitely need to be able to articulate your points in writing. And frankly, I think that's important in a lot.
For anything, yes, but
Skill. And so that helped there. It is expensive. It's not only the expense that you're spending, but I also, you have an opportunity cost as well that you pass up. Financial gain while you're there. I mean, I could have made more money, and did more with my, financially with my life or my retirement or whatever. But again, those are trade-offs, and that's okay. But you have to weigh that out. And I wouldn't just go. I have several. My brother-in-law's a lawyer, and he went to Cal. He actually went to prestigious law school. I did it at night, and I was surprised with him and me both. We have both classes to look at how many people went to law school and then decided to be a high school teacher. So you've already done that expense, and then you have to go back and get your teacher credential. So my only point in explaining that is make sure this is what you want to do, and make sure you want to go to law school, because it's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's there's an opportunity cost. But if you do it, there's great opportunities there. Long-term, more flexibility, more job opportunities, a broader based set of opportunities, and frankly, over time, probably more financial return as well.
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, Kaylee. Go ahead and ask that next question that you have, because I had a similar question. So go for that one too.
If you could describe your experience as a lobbyist in one word, what would it be?
Are you there, Dennis? Did we lose you?
I'm thinking.
Oh, there
the
you
first
go.
time I didn't
He's
speak. Now you
thinking.
get on
Oh,
me.
he's thinking.
How long have I contemplated that you've known me for so many years?
That's never happened.
Exactly.
Kaylee, excellent question. You've stumped Dennis Albiani. Your experience as a lobbyist. One word.
In my head, but I'd actually say committed. Very committed to the industry and the environment and the and then you have to be committed to your own family, your own set of values. Frankly, you can get pulled. I think in any profession, but I think a lot in this profession in many different ways. So you have to set your boundaries. So you be better, I would say, committed.
So I have a quick follow-up question. What does a lobbyist actually do? So, I mean, if you were to describe that to like a total lay person, whether it was, you're an ag, but I mean, in general, what does a lobbyist do?
I wish I had the visual several years ago for every industry on Facebook. And I know that's, Instagram's cool now, but on Facebook, I went through and it said, each industry, what I do, what my mom thinks I do. And that's like what my opponents think I do. And it's, forgive me, but clubbing seals was the example. What I actually do, I sit in meetings all day, and that's really what it is. And everybody has their own style, and each opportunity is different. Whether you work for the Farm Bureau or you're a contract lobbyist like I am, there's different data requirements. But number one is, whether you have members or clients, you have to remember them. So you're always hearing from them and articulating that in the Capitol. And then you're also reporting back to them what happened and getting their feedback. So the member of the association, whatever you do, the client, the whatever, is very, very important. I think that's undervalued. I know sometimes I forget to communicate because I believe the results, the answer, when the bill passed or stopped, or that's the important thing. Well, you got to tell them. So, and remember who you're working for. The second part, so we communicate a lot that way. We communicate a lot with the members. So that can be there's obviously members that have agriculture in their districts. And so you're working with them, coordinating with them. There's people who have no clue about agriculture or water or whatever. Maybe they're an urban member. So are they hostile? Probably not. You just have to educate them, show them what the issues are. So we may be meeting with them, providing them detailed fact sheets. So we edit the fact sheets. We break down 100-page reports down to 2 or 3 pages because it's, trust me, just for speed and time, it has to be quick. So you have to be able to break it down. So we're doing that. We're meeting with the person. And then we may be even taking them out on a tour or introducing them to our clients through meetings, now Zooms, and those guys. So that's a regular. And then there is the action, actually, where we are actually testifying in front of a hearing. We're meeting with an administrative agency person and testifying on a regulation or writing the testimony, a lot of written testimony goes in regulatory sides. You write letters and then you just follow up and then talking to members. And then finally, I think there's the relationship building side. You do a lot of coffees. You do things just to touch bases on issues, touch bases on politics, what's going on in Southern California, what's going on in this race for a certain district. You need to know that kind of stuff, even though I don't fancy myself as a political guy. I worked some campaigns, but that was a necessity, not what I like to do. But you stay up politically. So it is a broad base of issues that you deal with and things. But there are some people that are very specialized, and that's important too. So those are some of the issues we deal with and some of the things we do on a daily basis.
Great. So I've got a couple of other folks that want to ask some questions. Shiva, I saw you raised your hand and you had a couple questions there. Do you want to go ahead and we'll have Letty unmute you so you can ask one? Why don't you ask one of those questions since our
Yes. Okay, so I'm in AP government and like we were learning about lobbyists and stuff, so like I'm super interested in your job. But do you work hand in hand with bureaucracies, or like does your job help to create them?
That's a good one too, Dennis.
My son,
Shiva, by the way, Shiva is at Sacramento High School, just so you know. She's in Sacramento. Yeah.
Sakai, we wrestled there several times when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So that's a very good question. Frankly, you're located in a great location. California is a nation state, so there's great opportunities for you, whatever you do. And afterwards, give us a call. As things go on, there's always nice to keep in touch. But that's regardless. You did have a question about bureaucracies. So my son and I were watching one of these things the other day together. It was a Zoom, and it was some economists. And one of the economists said, excuse me, there's nothing as permanent as a temporary government program. You start them, they go. And then, you say you try to cut it back or stop it. And well, that's people's jobs, or they're doing this really essential business. So you mentioned, do we create bureaucracies? Yes, I do. Do we, what's that mean? So I'm playing on the things that bureaucracies are challenging. Absolutely. When you give somebody power, you better be prepared that they will use it. They will, I was very involved in creating, Elk Grove was an unincorporated part of Sacramento County. And then we created a city. That was local control. I think the city grew faster because of it, and people were wanting to incorporate so they could slow the growth. I think it did the exact opposite. Excuse me. Our garbage fees are more expensive. Several of the services. The building department, to try to get a building permit in Sacramento County is much easier. Elk Grove, it's known regionally as horrible. So you go, wow. I was very proud to help, the city of Elk Grove. Boy, I created a bureaucracy, and now you have to deal with it and live with it. So aware of that. that, you know, we create a building department and they're going to check plans and they're going to really dig down. You know, they really want to make sure they're doing whatever they do. So yes, we work on those, and I don't want to be negative on it. There's many good people who have very good food safety. We're seeing now is so important. They are helping to make sure during this COVID crisis that the food disruption, there's a lot of challenges in getting food to your table right now. I don't need to go through those, but we can call the secretary. They could help coordinate answers to that. And we do that. So from that standpoint, there is a lot of good bureaucracy gets a bad name, but they do a lot of good people, talented people. But, you know, don't think that once you start it, it's very hard to, you know, rein some areas in government.
Yeah. Wasn't the Farm Bill initially a temporary program way back
Yeah,
then?
it expires every 5 years, but they
Yeah.
call that, when you put a sunset in a bill, that means it expires after X amount of years. That's a full employment act for lobbyists. So
Yes.
5 years from now, we got to go, you know, do it again.
Go do it again.
Okay.
Well, let's get a couple more questions in here. There was a great question by Jessica Legrand, who had to go off because she was going to an online class, but I think this is a good one and I'll just ask it. Do you feel like you're missing out on that hands-on experience with agriculture because you're always working in an office?
That's a good question. I went to a college reunion last year, and there were about 75 guys. And they joked because it was an agricultural class reunion. And they said the lawyers always wanted to be farmers, and the farmers always looked up to the lawyers and want to be lawyers now. And we graduated 30 years ago. So it's funny, the lawyer, and my brother-in-law, who was an economics major and a very successful business bankruptcy lawyer, and works in agriculture too, as well as other places. He's a cattle rancher now, and he came to my house and picked up his, tractor last night, and all frustrated farmers. I do have a gentleman farm. We raise sheep, pigs. My brother and dad raise cattle, so I get to play with that every now and then. And then we have small animals, turkeys and rabbits as well. And we always joke it's a rabbit dairy. So every day, 365, we have to tend to the rabbits. So we get plenty of that. And frankly, we just plowed, and my daughters did most of the work, but she just plowed about 1/3 of an acre and planted tomatoes, and she's doing a science fair project, very sophisticated project. And so, we were farming. So it's kind of,
you get
dirty.
to do both. It probably keeps you sane, right? To be able to have
now I
that.
know why I'm not a farmer, I can tell you that.
Well, there's that too, yeah. It gives you that hands-on. Okay, so let's see. We'll get one more question in here. Daniel, let's unmute Daniel and have him ask his question. And don't forget to introduce where you're from, Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel from Central Valley, living in Kerman. Do you have any work habits? And if so, how is the COVID-19 affecting your work?
Yeah, it's very challenging. I'm in my office today, so when you watch this, you can see that. But for the majority of the 5 weeks that the legislature was out, and their assembly came back this week, Senate's coming back next week, I was working at home. I have 4 children, all high school age, as I mentioned. And then my wife, and she's on a school board. So we have one office. It's her office. I was a guest.
You were an intruder.
Loud. I am very high energy, and I have ADD. I get distracted very easily. So working at home was challenging, and it was challenging for me when I was in law school. I'd always study at the library because you can focus there. So coming to the office is good. So I come in the office early. Our job is not an 8 to 5 job. It's a often 7:30 to 7:30 job. We do stuff in the evenings quite a bit. So you try to stay on that, try to focus yourself. It was too easy to get distracted on COVID-19. I'd find myself pacing, or I'd get kicked out of the house because I was too loud. My wife had Zoom calls or whatever. So you're, walking up and down the driveway on conference calls or whatever. So those are challenging, but technology is amazing. Laptops, my phone, I am getting a new phone after several years. But the phone, the Zoom technology, this is amazing, and it allows us to do it so much easier. 10 years ago, you couldn't have done it. Even the internet, we had that. The technology had not evolved. But we're going to testify on telecommunications wise. So with technology, there's opportunities, but still nothing beats sitting in the hearing room, getting the read of the members, their body language, because often they'll tell you, hey, I'm with you, but somebody else gets to them, or the other legislators are lobbying them, so you can see their body language. We don't get that anymore, and that's tough. So it interrupted that. We stay on it. We're trying to do Zoom calls as often as possible with legislators and then their staffs, who are very important. And so you just keep working on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good place to end today. I don't want to take up too much of your time, Dennis. And I know that there's several folks that are, like I said, been on today live who probably would love to follow up with you individually. I know Kaylee, I'm sure Kaylee would, and it sounds like Shiva would too. So if you're open to it, and we're going to share your email address.
Yeah.
And anyone out there, if you guys want to follow up with Dennis. He's also on the state board for FFA, the FFA Foundation. So he's incredibly, speaking of committed, to youth and to your careers and your pathways. So I know he would be willing to help and ask any more questions that come up. Because there were some more on there, Dennis, that were really good. We just didn't have time. No, it's fine. It's good. This is sometimes better one-on-one anyway, right? So thank you, Dennis. It's great to see you today. And hopefully we'll be able to get together again soon with a little class 32 follow-up, reunion, maybe later this summer, maybe not until October, until we have our 50th reunion, who knows. But great, and thanks so much for being here, and we'll take care, and your family take care, and hopefully your rabbits make it through the heat this weekend.
Hopefully. Feel free to call us, follow up to, a lot of times if we're really busy and you happen to send me an email, it gets washed away. So don't be afraid to follow up a week later and do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good advice, actually. People think they send an email and then they don't hear back, so they don't want to bother someone. I'm always like, no. Someone doesn't get back to you, check in again.
Yeah, for this, Mary had to hit me 2 or 3 times and they go, no, we want it.
Exactly. Texting,
like,
emails. All right, you guys.
Mary
Thanks,
does not
everybody.
lack
Have a
shame.
great day. That's right. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Dennis.
Bye.